This is the video review of Plezuon and Bunpachy from Zyuden Sentai Kyoryuger, or in the States will be known as Power Rangers Dino Charge. We don't know what these guys will be called in Dino Charge yet, but Dino Charge has been announced for February 2015. Now, on to Plezuon himself. I'll be reviewing Bunpachy after we get to Plezuon's robot mode, but that'll be a ways off. So I'm going to put Bunpachy off to the side. I was going to put Bunpachy's Jude Enchi off to the side. Here's Plezuon by himself. This is his spaceship mode, and he basically has two different vehicle modes. Well, vehicle modes. This is his spaceship mode, and this is his Plesiosaurus mode. And the difference is that in the Plesiosaurus mode, you can see that he has painted-in fins. Like this one here actually sends out in something that actually is a fin, whereas this one right here is just painted in, and then this is a black plastic that's supposed to simulate negative space. But he's a Plesiosaurus in this mode because he has his Plesiosaurus head here. He has his fins out here to make him look like a Plesiosaurus. And then what happens for when he turns into a ship mode is that, well, you see that he has these rocket boosters back here, but then he has these pontoons right here for his Plesiosaur mode. When these come up, it completes the nacelle. So like these are like the fuel supplies or more parts necessary for his rocket boosters back here. And I like how that works so that it brings together his fins so that they actually form into something that would be useful for a spaceship mode. I think that's really clever and a good use of parts. My problem with Plezuon in basically his vehicle mode is that no matter what you do, he looks like he's a spaceship. He looks more like a spaceship than an actual dinosaur. Whereas all the other zyudenryu, like a Bunpachy over here, they look like dinosaurs, not vehicles. This guy looks like a vehicle that has a dinosaur theme. And so in that way, Plezuon is a bit of an outlier for all the other zyudenryu, because all of them, like Gabutira, looks like a T-Rex. Terragordon looks like a pterodactyl. Bragigas looks like a Brachiosaurus. This guy looks like a spaceship, so that's a little bit unfortunate, but oh well. I mean, he still looks cool. I just wish he fit more into the theme of all the other guys. Now, this right here is his Jude Enchi, and it's a pretty nice. It's basically the same as all the others. You can see the Plesiosaurus in there. Brave in, you get your holographic foil side, and that's energized. And then the way you use this is, well, I'll get into this in a minute. I need to show off his sounds first. Well, what you can do without the Jude Enchi. You turn them on, you get that sound. You press that button, you get an error sound. Press this button, and you get it roaring like a Plesiosaurus, I guess. And then if you put this into his mouth, the way it works is you've not braved in yet. You need to press this button down here on what basically looks like a trigger for a gun. And then you bring it back like this. And then it'll say Bakuretsu Plezuon. And I like how you can actually see the Jude Enchi inside of his throat right here. I think that's kind of neat. And then when you get after this is you get... And that button right there basically does the noise for the transformation from this mode right here into his robot mode. And then when this guy eventually combines with Kyoryujin into Bakuretsu Kyoryujin, if you hold this down, you get the Bakuretsu Kyoryujin combination noise. And then if you press this button up here, you get his attack. Basically what's happening is you're cocking the Jude Enchi over and over again. I'm turning that off. You're cocking the Jude Enchi over and over again like you're cocking a gun, which is kind of why I compare this to a trigger down here. And each time he goes from a san, ni, ichi, so 3, 2, 1, and then he does this big firing noise. So basically those are his noises. I might cover them, I might like show off him doing the gun sound when he's actually in robot mode, because I might do that, but basically those are the noises. Now we can get into the actual combination, the transformation into robot mode. Now, this guy is a parts former, something hard. Now, I don't normally have a problem with parts forming in Power Rangers or Sentai figures, but I do kind of have a problem with the parts forming in this guy, just because you're not doing anything interesting. You're pulling all these parts off of him until you get a guy who is bent over backwards, and that's all he is. Like with Go Busters, you're doing some really neat stuff with the parts forming. This guy is like the feet are plugged into back here. I feel like they could have made a way to make the feet come down like this. Now, I get why with that these need to come off for the Bakuretsu Kyoryujin combination, that they come off. I get why this guy has parts forming for the later combination, because the parts need to come off to combine with Kyoryujin. I just wish that they had found a way to make it a bit more interesting, because the stuff they're actually doing here isn't that interesting, because you basically just have the robot mode right here and just adding details on. So you start with the legs right here. This is the right leg, and you know, because if you look at it like this, this part comes off to the right, and then you'll plug it on to the bottom of his foot like this. Do the same with the other one, and you get if you've ever watched some of Evangelist's old Revenge of the Fallen reviews for the Scout class figures, Commander Boat Shoes. And then next thing you're going to do is you're going to take his arms here. You're going to take off this arm, and this is the left arm. You're going to plug it on into here, and then this arm just goes onto his back like this. Then this plate right here just plugs onto his butt like this. You take this big arm right here, plug it into his arm like this. And then you take the head right here, and then you plop it down like this, pop it up, and this is Plezuon by himself. And he's a pretty big figure. I got well, not Kyoryujin. I don't have the other zyudenryu attached to him, just because they're not necessary for Bakuretsu Kyoryujin. You can see that he's a bit taller, but he's not nearly as bulky or massive as Kyoryujin. So there's a size comparison. I don't actually like the way this guy looks. I think he looks really underpainted. Like, they had put some black detailing around his Kyoryuger logo right here. That would have gone a long way to selling this figure for me. If the purples were a bit more vibrant, that would have gone a long way. If, I don't know, he just looks a little bit boring to me. He's not a bad-looking figure. He's just not the most dynamic figure. Like, Kyoryujin looks very dynamic. This guy just kind of stands here. I don't quite know why I don't like him as much as I should, because conceptually this guy is awesome. It's just something about it rubs me the wrong way. I kind of think it's because he gets this big arm right here that kind of throws him off balance. I mean, you don't even need to use this. I mean, there's no other place to put it, but if you want, you can have this arm out like this, and I actually think this looks quite a bit better. He looks more balanced, and basically there's just no way to get around using this, because it's either a part left off to the side, or yeah, this thing just kind of weighs down the overall figure. I wish they had maybe made it smaller. Like, if this guy didn't have electronics, I think it would have been a lot better. Now, anyway, this is basically Plezuon. I do have a couple problems with him, like the head here. It doesn't turn, even though it's on a joint that basically should be able to turn, because it's not really different than the attachment joints for like an arm for like on the Delta Squad Megazord. It's the exact same kind of connection point. It doesn't turn because it's a Sentai figure. There's no other reason for it to not turn, and that's kind of unfortunate. For posability, the arms go around 360. Well, if they don't, well, no, I guess they don't. The little engine parts here bump into his little hip things right here. So, not 360. They can go in a little bit, but it doesn't really work because he just gets too straight. The arms need to be out. Like this arm, you're definitely not going to get to go in. It's a bit of a shame. Now, we need to get into Bunpachy next, because he is the basically the zyudenryu that is meant to be with Plezuon the most. It's what we saw on the show the most. So here's Bunpachy right here. I basically like the way he looks. He's one of the bipedal accessory Voltasars, zyudenryu. He looks okay. I think this looks kind of silly up top, but it's not terrible. Posability, the arms can go forward and back. They can bend at the elbow, and these can go forward and back as well, but they don't ratchet until they're back like this. So the ratchets don't help you actually get any decent poses on this guy. and then these are kind of the same situation here. So basically, he's just going to be standing. Now his Jude Enchi is right here. Brave in, pull down his maw, put it in here like this, and then push the button down here so you can start pushing the sled in, and then that's the activation of his power-up thing, and then this is the ball and chain, and then it just flops around. I've never been a big fan of these kinds of weapons in Transformers or Power Rangers because there's no way for them to look dynamic. You're never going to get it whirling around unless maybe you attach some wire to it, but you're never going to get it to whirl around unless you do that. It's just going to hang limply. So I've never been a fan of this kind of weapon in toys unless they're actually kind of rigid, in which case they're more like a Morning Star than a flail. I think so. I think a Morning Star is like you have a handle and then it goes around. It's not actually a flail. I'm not sure, but you understand what I mean. I just don't like this kind of weapon. It doesn't work well for me. Anyway, to turn this guy into the arm, we need to take a Plezuon, take this arm off, combine it with this arm, and then put it together, and you get a much more balanced back here. And then you take this guy, bring his legs around like this, bring the arms up like this, open the mouth, push the button to shoot out the Jude Enchi, and then attach it to the support. And this is the same kind of port that you see on Kyoryujin here, where like a Drakera attached on to Kyoryujin. And basically this is Plezuon with Bunpachy attached. I'm not a super big fan of Bunpachy on this. It was already really cumbersome with this arm over here, and now we just put the same problem over to this arm. I much prefer what Plezuon looks like with just his normal arms. I think that's how he looks best. He looks just too busy like this. And now we can take this off here, and what kind of sucks is that because Bunpachy has this lip right here, it'll catch on this little part right here, which is necessary for Bakuretsu Kyoryujin, but just this part on the side. So what'll happen a lot is that either you need to pull this out to the side so that the Jude Enchi ends up catching inside here, so when you pull it out, it comes out of the mouth. You saw that happen. Or the actual jaw part will come off. So it's a little bit awkward getting the getting Bunpachy off and on Plezuon. Now, next thing I need to show is this guy actually attached to Kyoryujin, and just attaches like normal, like this, and it's just an arm. Again, not a fan of this flail. I like the color. I think this gray on red looks really nice, and that's about all I got to show of Bunpachy here. Now we need to get into Bakuretsu Kyoryujin. We'll be using this guy later on as an arm, but for now he's going off to the side. Now, to get ready for Bakuretsu Kyoryujin, we need to start out with Kyoryujin. We need to take off the helmet, take off the tail cape, store the helmet inside here, and put it onto the back like this, then rotate the body forward like this. And that's all you need to do for Kyoryujin. Make sure his head stays up. And one thing I did not talk about at the Plezuon part that comes with him is this. This thing, if you're not using it, there's no place for it to go, which is kind of unfortunate. I wish it could have clipped on somewhere onto Plezuon. That would have been really nice. But the point of this thing is that it goes over Kyoryujin's hips just to make sure that he does not collapse under the weight of Bakuretsu Kyoryujin, because this guy gets really big and really heavy. Now, you don't need it. You don't need these parts. If you don't have it, you can still enjoy the toy just fine. This is more to make sure that the figure doesn't break, that this ratchet joint doesn't break. I don't think it will break, but it's nice that they included it for the longevity of Gabutira here. So this is all you need to do for Gabutira. We'll put him off to the side for now. Next thing we need to do is start preparing Plezuon, which is tearing the guy apart, basically. Take off the head, take off the arm, take off the boat shoes, take off the backpack, take off the skid plate. And then what we're going to do is we're going to turn the, before we do that, we want to take these arms here, pop them apart, pull out these little black pieces, and then attach the arms like you would normally if you were just using normal arms like this. And you're going to turn these back, and make sure they're spread out like this for now. That'll be, it'll help a little bit later on. Then what you want to do is you want to come under here, pull these out, pull these things out, and these are the same kind of connection ports that the arms attached to. Basically the standard Kyoryuger accessory arm connection port. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the legs and we're going to bring them out like this. And they do not tab in very well, but there's a clip right here and a tab right here. And this is basically so that you can turn this without turning the hip instead. That's basically all it does, because what's actually keeping these legs out is a ratchet mechanism in here. So here you have this done. Next thing we want to do is we want to take the head here, plop it in like this so that the old head part is facing forward, and then this part is facing forward. And then we will put this off to the side for now. Now we want to come back to Gabutira here. Now we want to take the boat shoes, we want to put them under his feet like this, and the same, the boat shoes are like the left boat shoe is still the left boat shoe. The right boat shoe is still the right boat shoe. Put it together like this. You want to take the skid plate and you'll put this onto the right arm connection joint like this, and this will hide the little dangly arms right here, cover up some of the bland detailing under his armpit. I'll cover that up. And then here we have Gabutira like this. What we're going to combine these is that if you look on the underside of this body right here of Plezuon, you have a little tab right here, then you have these clips right here. And what's going to happen is this tab right here is going to go into where the helmet plugged into the top of Kyoryujin's head, and then these little spokes on the side of his head, these are going to clip onto those spokes. So it'll go down like this, and this is actually a very solid connection. I can pick this up like this. And then what you're going to do is these arms right here are going to come in, and those little black things I told you to pull out, those are going to clip into the side of Gabutira's body. That's going to make a very solid connection. This is not going anywhere. Now we're most of the way complete. All we need to do now is we need to take the Plezuon neck, attach it to this arm over here, and then take Bunpachy over here, attach it to this arm over here, and all we have left to do is reveal the head. And this is Bakuretsu Kyoryujin, and this guy is massive. He's super big, and not only is he big, he's deep because he has the length of Gabutira as well. So he is a very large figure, a very impressive figure, and honestly, I'm not going to get a better shot than this because I cannot back my camera up, and well, no, I can if I take the tail off, because if I take the tail off, this bit right here, which isn't actually super necessary for this combination, it's just making sure you keep all the parts together, then yeah, I can get him back about this far. And I think this guy just looks awesome. It's a great look for him. It's big, it's powerful. And what I really love about this is that the combination of Plezuon and Gabutira looks different than Kyoryujin. It looks different than any other combination we see in the line, which is great. This means that what they did here is really effective. Now for posability, the arms can rotate around 360, and these rotational joints right here are really strong, but because the Bunpachy here is so heavy, and so is the Plesiosaurus head, it really is not as strong as it needs to be. But the arms go around 360, or I'm actually sure not why it's not going around further. Okay, so not 360, but you can basically approximate 360. Yeah, it seems like there's a stop right here. Not sure why. It seems like it should be able to go all the way around. You can get some waist articulation, but it's not really useful. And the legs can go in and out. But basically, you want the legs split as far as possible, because otherwise he looks too narrow for how big he is. This makes him look a bit more dynamic like that. And as you can see, the ratchets and legs are having a hard time holding him. Now, there are actual stops on the ratchets that will keep the legs from just swaying out like that. But that white piece I showed you earlier, it's really nice that the white piece there is included, because now for sure, Plezuon is not going to be breaking Gabutira. And again, you can do the combination sequence sound. And yeah, I just love Bakuretsu Kyoryujin. I'm not really a fan of Bunpachy because he's a bit too big. Like even Stegochi and Drakera are a bit too big for my taste. They're as big as they need to be for Kyoryujin, but with this long thing right here, and then even longer with the weapon that just kind of laser like a limp rag. Not a fan of Bunpachy, except for his colors. His colors work well with Gabutira and with Plezuon. Plezuon himself, I'm not a super big fan, because I like the spaceship mode. It's really cool. I love his spaceship mode, but his transformation to his robot mode is just a little bit boring. I don't necessarily mind the parts forming, it's just nothing interesting is happening in the parts forming. And then his robot mode is, it's okay. It's not, nothing is particularly wrong with it. I just don't think it's particularly interesting. But Bakuretsu Kyoryujin, this is where the magic happens. This is great. I love this. This is just such a neat combination. It's really imaginative, really inventive. This, if you have Kyoryujin, then it's worth getting Plezuon and Bunpachy just for this, because this is one of the best combinations I've ever seen. Anyway, yeah, this has been the review of Plezuon, Bunpachy, Bakuretsu Kyoryujin. I hope you've enjoyed it. I reviewed Power Rangers, Transformers, and Cross figures, Digimon figures, lots of stuff like that. If any of that sounds interesting, please subscribe. Be sure to check our Facebook link down below, and thank you for watching.